Hello everyone, my fellow citizens, business owners. This video goes specifically to the airline Lufthansa. This goes directly to the management, the pilots, the personnel, the stewardesses, and those individuals who work for them, along with the passengers who fly Lufthansa on any type of Boeing product. This video today is, I'll hold it back up again, QA expert Daryl Guberman alerts Lufthansa and passengers about Boeing being an FAA regulator from 2009 to present. And the reason why I do this, you don't know me and I don't know you, but I do this for the human good, for the human beings out there, for society. In Judaism, we have a saying, Tikkun Olam, illuminating the world, enlightening the world. But we go and we find, because I've been open for business since 2013, I'm a consultant and also an ISO certification body. We were asked in 2016 to join either ANAP or ANSI-ANAP or the IAF or both. But as you're going to see here, I could not, as a proud American, do this because you had a communist Chinese national that had taken over the International Accreditation Forum, which is a repository of accreditation bodies located in Delaware in the United States of America. Also, ANSI and ANAP, the American National Standards Institute, took over complete control over the American National Accrediting Board in 2018. They are also underwriters for both the IAF in Delaware, the International Accreditation Forum, and also ILAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation in Australia. This video today is again QA expert Daryl Guberman alerts Lufthansa and passengers about Boeing FAA regulator since 2009 to present. You can't make this up. Another little Jewish saying is, in a dark room, all it takes is one candle. And that candle within the quality community is me, because most quality professionals are drinking the Kool-Aid of ANSI-ANAP, who's been around for 40 plus years, screwing up entire systems, because under their certifications, all you have is fudging documentation and failure, and we have the proof. Let's continue on. You have the American National Standards Institute, and this has been around for over 100 years. It has both federal agencies and corporations on board. In 2015, Randy Doty, a vice president of ANAP, the chairman of the International Accreditation Forum Incorporated in Delaware, and also he sat in the 990 tax form as a principal, which means the only principal, he had complete control over that organization. Remember, ANSI and ANAP are underwriters for the IAF. He handed over leadership to this communist Chinese national, Zhao Zhenwu, who has been involved with our quality since 1994, 30 years. He, at the time, was not only just the chairman of the IAF, but he was also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, located in Beijing, China. He is mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take your data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. You can look it up. Here he is standing in the BioLevel 4 lab in Wuhan, China. Yes, in Wuhan, China. As the China National Accreditation Services is equivalent in accreditation to ANAP and ANSI. ANSI and ANAP, as I said, are underwriters for all the organizations, the accreditation bodies that sit on the IAF. So any sort of systematic failure and product failure, it goes on to ANSI-ANAP. They are and have the responsibility. During this time of their certification, you had Ms. Pamela Sale, who is a laboratory accreditation vice president, and she said under deposition in Texas that from one laboratory to another, there are variances and lack protocol. So she basically admitted to the release of the COVID virus out of that laboratory. You have ANAP that sits on the ANSI board, right over by many corporations and federal agencies like Boeing. In 2018, as I told you, ANSI took over complete control over ANAP, and here we go. Here goes a kicker. They sat on the IF, International Accreditation Forum, and they're underwriters for the IAF. Shouldn't it be the other way around, I would think? Who knows when it comes to quality out of control? And they sat there while the Chinese national was watching over them from 2015 to 2021. One of the worst things I find as a proud American Jewish business leader is you have the factor of Iran and Pakistan sitting on an American-based company, the IAF, incorporated in Delaware. They are equivalent in accreditation to ANAP. And some of the worst things is that Pakistan, and I'm not saying this about the population of Pakistan or Iran. I'm saying it about the politicians, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan harbored Osama bin Laden. Then you have this guy, Khomeini, who wants to see the death of the United States of America. And on top of it, how could ANSI, an American company, but you also find out that they have 10 registrars in China that could issue an ANAP accreditation, ANSI ANAP, so they're really not caring about America. They only care about the cash in their pocket. They're sitting right over by Iran, which disgusts me as a proud American Jewish business leader, that Iran is financing Hamas to cause havoc in the Middle East. Isn't that unbelievable? And by the way, they are equivalent to ANSI ANAP, and you'll find on the Boeing supply portal that we have coming up that Boeing basically calls Iran and Pakistan out because they're an international regulator. They're international regulator, whatever, international accreditation body. So anyway, you have this, you have the factor of Intertek being the main registrar for Spirit Aerosystems, and you hear them having a lot of problems. I understand there's a bank in the United States that said do not invest in Spirit Aerosystems because of their shoddy quality. See, what happens in this world is because Boeing gave authority to ANSI ANAP at their suppliers, you'll see that Boeing gave authority to their suppliers in 2002 to just send us your AS9100 certificate, and then you can send us the parts. We don't have to send any inspectors to go look at your facility. So they sit over by ANAP, putting the ANAP logo on the cert, which means that there is no oversight, ladies and gentlemen. So for those of you who paid for an ANSI ANAP cert, dear God, it's a ripoff. Oy vey. So we go further. Lufthansa. This is the most important part coming up. You have Boeing. Boeing sits on ANSI's board and ANAP's board. They sit on the management board that can grant, suspend, or withdraw certification. And they also sat on the other board that has command and control over the operations of with others. The board of directors have command and control over the operations and functions of the organization, of ANAP. In 2002, Boeing came out with a supplier notification, July 1st, 2002, that basically stated, and this will be in the description down below this video, that if you're ANSI ANAP, they don't have it because they'd be considered a monopoly, but I don't know why they're not considered a monopoly. They have it on their supplier portal, which you'll see very shortly. It basically said on-site Boeing survey/audit of the supplier's quality system if need be. Our preference is to deal with proven suppliers with excellent quality performance and not have to deal with on-site quality system surveys, because what that does is that cuts into the profit of the CEO's bonus at the end of the year. By sending source inspectors out to the facility, that's cutting into their profit. That's cutting into their bonus. David Calhoun, 1.5 million base, and the other $20+ million is made up of stock options, bonuses, and all the rest of that stuff. And he's the punching bag for Boeing. He is the poster child for getting his ass kicked. Does he know anything about aerospace? No, but they used him because I guess he's got a thick skin. Unbelievable. Now you have the FAA, the regulatory authority of aerospace. Well, we thought so, did we? Read that. I will read it for you. This happened in 2009. The FAA increased the authority of Boeing's commercial airplanes division to self-certify its own aircraft. That is giving up FAA regulatory authority to Boeing. Do you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? So when you have David Calhoun give a speech and say that our regulator, the FAA, is going to look at the ship 100%, well, why the hell wasn't Boeing looking at it 100%? Because they were and are a regulator for the FAA. Next is Boeing employees to perform tasks on behalf of the FAA that include oversight of testing and product standards, along with certification of aircraft technologies and the new aircraft designs. So that means they can design it, build it, fly it, and approve it. Isn't that nice? 2009 to present. Do you hear that, Lufthansa? And from 2002 to present, what they did again is if you have an AS9100 certificate for aerospace, international standards, or International Organization of Standards airplane certificate, which is AS9100, you just send this in, Boeing checks off the box, take your part, stick it in. We don't have to send any inspectors to your facilities. And here we go. International regulator. It states internationally equivalent. You saw that the Iran and Pakistan are an internationally equivalent to ANSI ANAP, and ANSI ANAP are the underwriters. No way, shape, or form can you cut this any other way. And this you have to watch out for, Lufthansa, because after the fact in 2009, Boeing probably has been doing it very well for a long time, but they were fudging documentation along with their steel supplier, Kobe Steel. They were fudging documentation. I have no idea why they would do that. Of course, they are the FAA. They are an FAA regulator. They're equivalent to the FAA. You have the FAA sitting on ANSI's board. On top of that, with fudging documentation, about a month ago, you had a Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey crash with soldiers on board again and killing everybody on board. Please, the families of those individuals, my heart goes out to you. But also at their composite facility, the V-22 Osprey, Bell Boeing composite facility. I'm a composite specialist. That was my MO, so to speak. When I worked in aerospace, I was a composite inspector. And when you run into problems with, let me just explain this to you. You have fiberglass impregnated with a resin laid up on top of each other. And then between temperature and time and pressure, those fabric and resin become so pressed together, it becomes a one solid piece. If the temperature and or pressure is not per the engineering requirements, you may have interstitial bubbles. Interstitial bubbles, figure these are the fiberglass fibers. I have to do it this way. And you have resin in the fibers. If you have bubbles that affect it, or in this case, bubbles that are in between the fabric, and you have vibratory stresses, either the V-22, a helicopter, an airplane, and it goes like, and it separates and disbands, you can have loss, depending on the component, you can have loss of airplane, V-22, helicopter, etc. You have, again, the FAA sitting over by Boeing, and they are both regulators. They are FAA regulators. Basically, David Calhoun, who is behind me, in 2009, 2018, when he became the CEO, he basically was the administrator of his own organization being an FAA regulator, because as you can see, and as I read to you, Boeing was set up as basically an arm of the FAA. So when you hear David Calhoun talk about the bullshit about, and please forgive me for that, but when you hear him talking about the regulator, the FAA going in 100%, why didn't Boeing do the job the first time? And here it is, Boeing sitting with the FAA. And to make matters worse is that most recently I heard and I read as well that both the National Transportation Safety Board, which is part of the Department of Transportation, and the FAA are investigating their regulatory authority, FAA Boeing. So how can a regulatory authority, along with the National Transportation Safety Board, DOT, investigate the regulator, Boeing? Can you tell me that, Lufthansa? This is a sad state of affairs. As Thomas Paine said, American, back 300, 400 years ago, he said, when speaking the truth, it's many times like administering medication to the dead. And David Foster again said, the truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you. And the final one by Winnie the Pooh, and you guys should listen to this. Look, they're all smiling. They must be having a champagne later. Who knows? It is easier to believe a lie that one has heard 1,000 times than to believe a fact no one has heard before. That was A.A. Milne, who wrote the children's book, Winnie the Pooh. My name is Daryl Guberman. I'm a quality professional with over 40 plus years of experience, as I said, in aerospace, medical implants, medical materials, printing, and plastic distribution. This is not funny stuff. If you bought your aircraft, Lufthansa, from 2002 to 2000 and present, 24, then there are some serious issues. In fact, we just read some of the employees said that these quality issues have been going out the door. Shh. Look, they got caught fudging documentation. What is that telling you, Lufthansa? That's telling you your aircraft is compromised from 2002 to 2009. My name is Daryl Guberman, again, 203-556-1493. Or Daryl, Daryl, TQRS at yahoo.com. If you have any information that you want to bestow on me and you need any information from me, I'll gladly send it to you. I thank you.